Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. With the Spain News Update, we'll have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the Spanish press, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer-term supporters on Patreon, or my channel members on this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news. And tourism here in Spain, again dominating headlines, and it seems that the anti-tourism movement that has popped up in recent times in some parts of the country is not having much of an effect. Because as we can read here, tourism is heading towards another record despite protests over overcrowding. Spain, sun and beach. This combination has been infallible for more than 6 decades in attracting millions of foreign tourists, and this year will be no exception. After the record in 2023 with 85.1 million arrivals, the sector's positive forecasts have been confirmed in the first half of the year with a 13% increase in foreign visitors. Everything points to a new high that could reach 95 million visitors in 2024, a prediction that aligns with that of the UN World Tourism Organization. There will be a record. We anticipate an increase of between 5 and 7%. If this second forecast holds, it will undoubtedly surpass 90 million international tourists, says its executive director Natalia Bayona. But not all of them will be welcomed with open arms. Spain, one of the world's leading tourist destinations, has seen protests against tourist overcrowding intensify this year. So there we go, Spain on track to break another record as far as tourism is concerned, international tourism that is. 90 million plus international visitors expected to visit Spain this year if the forecast is correct. And I can only imagine that the situation going forward here in Spain will be more international tourists than ever and more anti-tourism protests than ever also. So we'll see how these two things coexist in the future, and I reckon it's going to be interesting. Second piece of news now on far-right hate speech after the murder of an 11-year-old boy in the province of Toledo at the weekend is still making headlines. And as we can read here, far-right radicals intensify the campaign of massive falsehoods against immigration with the Mocejon crime. The broken voice of Asel Sanchez, cousin of the 11-year-old boy murdered on Sunday in Mocejon, Toledo, will mark another chapter in the extensive anthology of infamy on social media. The journalist, who acted as a spokesperson for the family devastated by the tragedy, broke down in tears on Monday while speaking to the COPE radio station as he recounted the harassment and threats he was suffering for asking that the falsehoods about the murder spread by extremist groups be stopped. Among those responsible for spreading the venom were, among others, the inevitable Alvise Perez and a prominent leader of Vox, who quickly and falsely linked foreigners to the crime. For weeks now, the far right has intensified its campaign of hatred against immigrants by spreading information about crimes committed by foreigners, often complete fabrications. So my heart goes out to the family of this 11-year-old boy, not only because of the tragedy, but also because of the rubbish on social media that they have had to put up with from these far-right groups. Third piece of news now, and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's holidays have ended. He's back at the helm, and he will meet with the President of the Canary Islands this Friday in La Palma to address the migration crisis. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez will meet with the President of the Canary Islands, Fernando Clavijo, this Friday on the island of La Palma in a meeting focused on the migration crisis facing the archipelago. Clavijo announced this on Tuesday, informing that the Moncloa Palace Cabinet had contacted the presidency of the government of the Canary Islands earlier that day to finalize a meeting in which he hopes to address important issues for the islands and normalize everything regarding the relations between the two institutions. This normalizes everything. I am delighted because, with the normalcy of a meeting between the President of the Government of Spain and that of an autonomous community, we can have this conversation, this meeting, the Canary Islands Chief Executive told the media. So there we go, Prime Minister Sanchez to sit down with the President of the Canary Islands to address this important issue, probably the most important issue facing the Canary Islands at the moment, the issue of immigration and what to do with the thousands of migrants that have arrived in the Canary Islands from Africa over the last last 6 months or so. The Canary Islands want a solution, so we'll see if Prime Minister Sanchez has one for them. And the final piece of news we'll look at today about Spain-Gibraltar relations. And as we can read here, a lack of an agreement after Brexit predicts a hot autumn at the Gibraltar border. Spain and Gibraltar are positioning themselves to tighten controls at the Gibraltar border in case the agreement with the United Kingdom, which aims to regulate the flow of vehicles and people after Brexit, fails. This autumn, the new Schengen border protocols will be implemented. The lack of an agreement will force a final meeting after the summer between the Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs, José Manuel Álvarez, and his British counterpart, David Lammy. Meanwhile, the Royal Navy has conducted military exercises in the waters near Gibraltar, specifically in an area that is disputed with Spain, where a real estate project is also being developed, which is under scrutiny for its potential illegality. So a hot autumn predicted when it comes to the Spain-Gibraltar border. Both sides getting ready to tighten border controls if the agreement fails. And the Spanish not happy with the Royal Navy carrying out military exercises in a disputed area. Now let's have a look at some comments that were left on the channel recently. One here from Yanissi: triple parking is understandable at bars, easier to find your car when you leave drunk, but near a pharmacy, perhaps a healthy short walk could be part of the cure. A bit of sarcasm. Yeah, Yanissi, thanks for the comment, and thanks for pointing out that you were being sarcastic in that comment, because as we know, some people can't pick up on the sarcasm. And when it comes to triple parking and double parking here in Spain, I said yesterday that a lot of people double park or triple park when they go to the pharmacy or when they go to a bar, but when they go to a bar, I don't think they're having a drink. I think it's just to buy a packet of cigarettes, and they think they'll be in and out fairly quickly, hence the double parking. At the pharmacy, it's also the same mentality. I'll just park here, whip in and out quickly, and I won't bother anyone, I don't think. It doesn't matter that there's a parking spot 50 meters away or just around the corner, because I'll only be a couple of minutes. And if I do inconvenience another person, they can wait. One here from Mr. Vet regarding the over-tourism in Barcelona and other places, and people complaining about it, blaming high rent real estate prices on it. The tourists are just the bogeyman or the strawman, someone to blame when the problem is more complicated and nuanced. Property owners and property developers are charging more because they can, and they make more money. Simply supply and demand. Yeah, Mr. Vet, thanks for the comment, and you're right, the tourists are the scapegoats here, the easy targets for people to blame, because the issue is very nuanced, as you mentioned. Too difficult for most people, politicians included, to get to the root of the issue here. So let's go and blame the people that don't look like us, people that don't eat at the same times as us, and that should fix the situation. One here from Spain want to reduce the number of tourists. They should copy Ireland by being overpriced and offering poor value for money. Our capital city, Dublin, is filthy dirty and riddled with crime. The Irish tolerate the intolerable. Sad, I know, but true. Yeah, Michael, thanks for the comment, and you obviously don't work for the Irish Tourist Board with your damning assessment of tourism in Ireland. Overpriced and poor value for money, and forget about visiting Dublin because it's filthy and riddled with crime. Your words, not mine. And I'm sure some people that have visited Barcelona in recent times would use the exact same words in your comment, Michael, to describe that city. Yet tourists keep flocking there for some reason. One here from Max Feller: I agree with you about coffee 100%. Unfortunately, the only place I can get a mediocre yet better coffee is Starbucks. Yeah, Max, thanks for the comment. And another person that is not a fan of the coffee served in this country at a lot of bars and restaurants. And it's a debate that we have been having on the channel in recent times, the quality of coffee in this country. I, as you guys know, am not a fan of a lot of the coffee that is served in bars and restaurants in this country. In fact, I find a lot of it to be undrinkable. However, unlike Max, I've never thought of going to Starbucks to get a better quality coffee. In fact, I've only been to a Starbucks once in my entire life. And if I remember correctly, it was to eat a muffin and not to drink their coffee, because I, for one, refuse to pay what Starbucks charges for a coffee here in Spain. Absolutely ridiculous, because charging €4 for a coffee is daylight robbery, in my opinion, of course. One here from Chris: re-coffee, I always order a cortado. I do not have sugar and it seems fine to me. Yeah, Chris, thanks for the comment, and good to see that you don't have a problem with the coffee served up here in Spain. You enjoy the cortado coffee, which is a small espresso style coffee with a dash of milk and no sugar, so you're braver than me. And the final comment here from Anthony: greetings from Fairfield, California. I will be in Spain in December visiting Barcelona, Valencia, and Seville. Yeah, Anthony, thanks for the comment, and I hope all goes well with your trip to Spain in December and you enjoy the 3 cities that you mentioned there: Barcelona, Valencia, and Seville. The good news is that December is not peak tourist season, so you shouldn't have to put up with many crowds during your stay. But the bad news is that it can get quite cold during the month of December, so bring the appropriate clothes. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.